What? What? Why does it say episode 14 when we're on 16? Oh well. Oh well. I'll have to edit that on YouTube. Restart. Hello, everyone. This is PnC Dynasty here, episode 16. I'm here with Derek as we're doing a two-person podcast slash stream today. Bills Mafia, baby. Time to shine. Big matchup. First time they're actually going to be competing against a real opponent this week. So maybe they won't 35-0 team like they did the past 3 weeks. Other than that, this is going to be a crazy week 5. And we're week 5 in the NFL. It's kind of nuts. I think this is going way too fast, like it always does every single year.
Crazy. It's crazy.
I hate it.
Thank God we're not technically 1/4 of the way through. We have that extra week, but
You're right.
it's crazy to realize that we're 25% done with the regular season.
I don't even want to think about it because what am I going to do after February? Probably nothing. Getting into the news here, we had a couple of things, but first there was a trade inside the PnC Dynasty League. It's nothing too crazy, but it does add depth and a draft pick to another team and depth to another team. It actually was between myself and Derek, which is kind of crazy. Derek had Hunter Renfrow, kind of liked him, was always talking about how he would be the wide receiver 1 on the Raiders this year. Who knows about next year? And I needed a little bit of depth just to have some plug-and-play guy just in case. And Derek was looking for a 2023 second, so I had to make it happen. And I said,
yeah, I might have the most ridiculous draft capital in that draft class. So if everyone in that class is a bust, then my fantasy career and dynasty might go down the toilet.
I mean, I will be right with you because we have similar first-round pick amounts on that one, so we're going to be controlling that round. And I hope 2023 is pretty sick. But hey, Hunter Renfrow to add depth and a 2023 second for you. I think it works out. You don't even need him because you have so much You have so many wide receivers.
Deal, sir.
So it was a pretty good deal for both of us. And then moving on to the news here, Chris Carson with a neck injury, and he plays Thursday, which is tomorrow. Kind of crazy because even if he does play, he will be limited in my opinion. So I don't know. Are you picking up? Are you playing Rashad Penny if Chris Carson's out?
I mean, if your team is able to sit him and flex somebody else, if you have that third running back that you could put in to the running back slots, Carson hasn't been electric so far. Then you add an injury on a short week. I mean, it doesn't spell good news.
No. And you're playing the Rams.
Right. But I think he's a must start if you only do have 2, running backs that are high quality.
Yeah. And if he doesn't start, I think you fade away from Alex Collins. I said Rashard Penny, but I'm pretty sure he's on the IR. I meant Alex Collins, and I don't think I'm starting Alex Collins even if Chris Carson's out. So stay away from that backfield this week, in my opinion. And moving on to the next one, Alvin Cook also sat out today with an ankle injury. It's probably just another thing that he does all the time. However, he did sit out of practice, something to watch for. Like always, it's Alvin Cook. So if you got Madison, you're gonna start Madison because he's just as explosive. And who are they playing? And they're playing Detroit. So you really got the best of both worlds. If Dalvin Cook sits and you have Madison, they're starting Detroit. So
right,
Justin Fields being a main starter. How do you feel about that? You think he did the right decision there, Matt Nagy?
I mean, the fact that the term is main starter is pretty telling of how trash the situation has been, or the handling of the situation has been. I mean, Justin Fields should absolutely have been the quarterback to end the season as the starting quarterback. between him and Andy Dalton. There's no doubt about that. It was always a question of how early it would happen.
Yep.
And nothing besides Matt Nagy's coach talk and handling of this situation and keeping Andy Dalton in the starting spot was bad. That was the only thing that was bad was Matt Nagy's, handling of the situation. Justin Fields is a rookie and he's not going to have incredible games off the bat unless you pull some Justin Herbert type shit. But
true.
I think Nagy probably is happy that he doesn't have to deal with this anymore. And he should put that behind him and show that he deserves a job next year, because this was a terrible performance on Nagy's part.
I agree. And I mean, if you're in a 1 QB league, he's a good stash to have. Obviously, if in your super flex, you definitely drafted him within the first probably 5 picks in your rookie draft. So this is good news for you if you need him as a quarterback, and you hope that he actually does well against a decent team, I think, this week against the Raiders. So Raiders do like to throw the ball, so Justin Fields is going to have to continue to match that, and we will see more, I think, more balls, aerial attacks with Justin Fields this week. Yeah, because Montgomery is hurt too, so
yep.
He's going to either have to get the yards on with his legs or, throw him. So
it's it's all on Fields' shoulders this week. I think you'll probably see a really high, a relatively high amount of targets for Robinson, Matt, and Mooney. I guess relatively all of the receiving options, but those 3 fantasy relevant options.
Yeah. I agree. Moving on to one defensive news, just because it came out today and I was pretty shocked by the trade. Gilmore, Stephon Gilmore was traded from the Pats for a 6th round pick to Carolina's defense, who was already insane. Carolina's defense was pretty scary, and now definitely got better.
Yeah, so I'm not familiar with their second cornerback, but obviously, after J.C. Horn went down, they traded for C.J. Henderson. They think it's an important position to fortify. It's just a crazy trade to see a former All-Pro go for a 6th round pick.
Yeah, and it was quick. It was like, oh, he's getting released. Nope, he got traded.
Right.
Super fast.
See you later.
Yeah. So news kind of wasn't that crazy today. A little bit. Obviously, there was other player news, such as Zeke, who didn't practice today, but pretty sure if you read up on it, he says that he doesn't care about his knees and that he's ready to go against the Giants this week, and he'll probably just take the pain as it moves forward. And obviously other running backs that are always questionable, such as Josh Jacobs, that you just got to watch out for. But moving on to our matchups for Week 5 and who we're starting and who we're going to, be looking out for and who we're looking to see go off. We got Derek up against Smith. So Derek, obviously the one talking, and Smith, who also is on the podcast, they are up against each other. And it's going to be, I think, a blowout. And the reason why I say this is because I don't like Smith's team. And I've probably said this multiple times, and he's probably listening, and he's probably punching the air right now saying, fuck you, Vinny. But, I mean, I've had him lose. I had him lose last week against Parker, and I got that right because he actually got more than 50 pieced. And I think he loses again this week. But Derek, let me break us down this matchup because this is yours.
Yeah. I mean, Smith's team is down bad for sure at the moment. He has like 4 starters that are listed as out, at least for this week. And he has a couple of stalwart running backs and TJ Hawkinson and Aaron Rodgers. So look at it, and most people wouldn't think it's a bad team, but it's just not performing well. Joe Mixon especially.
And he's
Um,
hurt.
and he probably won't even be available. So, you take all of that into account, and you definitely don't think it stands up to my team. But my team underperformed last week. CeeDee Lamb didn't get many targets. Kyle Pitts did not convert any of his targets into meaningful fantasy points, and Travis Kelce even had a down week.
Yeah.
But you obviously cannot expect guys like Lamb and Kelce to have bad weeks each week. So I think on the law of averages, definitely looking to win for my team. I'm starting Matt Ryan this week, not only because I predicted correctly last week that Matt Ryan would have a better game than Baker.
Should have listened to yourself.
And benched him because of you guys, but that's not on you. I'm starting him because he's playing the Jets. I think he'll, follow up that performance with another good performance.
I say he gets another 2 touchdowns to Cardell Patterson again. And I might bet it. And I might bet it.
That would be pretty crazy, honestly. I think Cordell Patterson's one of the better stories so far in fantasy.
What a great story! What a great story!
Especially because it screws Pete. But
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sticking with the death lineup. Hopefully we get to our projected amount and crush Smith.
I'm just surprised that you're starting the Bills defense against KC. Maybe find a flyer. I mean, it's in
there for now, but I don't think the Colts matchup is much better.
No,
I'm also a superstitious man, so I think if
just start
saying now on the podcast that I'm going to sit the Bills while I'm wearing a bunch of Bills merch, probably not going to go well on Sunday night. and if it doesn't, I will blame it on myself. So
it's okay.
You're going to stick with the Bills at least for now, unless unless I get scared of Smith, but I don't think so.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes does throw interceptions, as we've seen against the Chargers. No, who did they play last week?
Yes,
the Chargers. They threw like 2 or 3 picks. He was like ugly, actually disgusting. But I think just once again, you have, just to reiterate, go over it. You have the upper hand in every category. Maybe not running back, but however, all his players are literally questionable and had a limited practice. If you looked at his team, Mixon limited, Swift limited, Higgins limited, Hawkinson limited, Mooney limited, Claypool limited. And literally they can all say they're going to start, and then he's going to start them, and they get, they tweak it a little bit, and it's out for the game.
Decoys, yeah.
And he literally could put up the least amount of points. It's going to be a very interesting matchup, but I definitely have you winning this one, Derek.
Yeah, I would say Smith for the least amount of points is probably a good bet,
good hot take.
Given the chances of injuries. But yeah.
I mean, he probably does have great odds for least amount of points on better fantasy.
Yeah, but
just
he still might have better odds than like Leo and Dan.
Yeah, you throw like $25 on both of them, all of them. But moving on to the next matchup, we do have Badger versus Hajj, which is going to be actually a very great matchup in my opinion. I mean, Hajj does have the better team on paper, but Badger's team has been on a tear. He's been hot. His players have been performing very well. A.J. Brown might be coming back. If Josh Jacobs comes back and Barkley stays healthy, like this could be a really, really great matchup.
Agreed. Badger needs Goddard to step up for one.
Yes, again, from last week, he needs to continue that performance against Carolina, which he may be able to if Carolina's focusing all their weapons on Devonta Smith and Zach Ertz.
Yeah, exactly. I think if Goddard scores a touchdown, it's going to go a big way
Yeah,
for a possible win.
I agree.
Badger put up a lot of points last week,
He did.
as did Hajj. So it should be an exciting one. Obviously, two great quarterbacks, four good running backs in this matchup, and then really no lack of talent for
Anywhere.
the remainder of their lineups. Leonard Fournette isn't the best flex, but he's had some good games
It gets you the point.
uh, already, and at least last week, he had a good game. And then you have Ertz versus Goddard. So, like I said, if like we both said, if Goddard is the one that catches the touchdown, has less attention on him, that could go a long way.
I agree. It's going to be a super close matchup and very difficult to kind of predict on who's going to win when you
Mm.
actually think about it holistically, because Badger also did have a bad beat with Carson. Carson not really kicking a field goal to win. So,
Yeah, true.
ton of key players in both of these matchups. Everyone needs to perform for them to even get close to a win. Next matchup is Parker versus Dan. Now,
Good one.
now this this matchup might be one of the bad ones of the group. However, Parker's team has been doing very well and continues to do well if he gets a better quarterback. And then you have Dan on the other hand, who is just struggling to get players that actually consistently put up points. He's got to constantly he's always got a flyer in his RB2 spot. His RB2 spot is whoever is just like injured, and he just gets the backup and he just starts them. And his wide receivers are just constantly doing nothing for him. So it's kind of interesting to see what's going to happen in this matchup. Obviously, everyone's going to be going against Dan, and I myself will be betting on Parker to win this matchup. And I don't think this matchup is going to be close, as the predictions show, as 140 to 137. But I mean, Parker's team is just kind of nasty, and if he had a quarterback,
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of nasty. There's a few players on his team that are nasty, but there's a lot of holes there. I mean, he got lucky with Patterson, or I don't know if he traded for him, but him and Crowder. Honestly, like Patterson is definitely keeping his team afloat.
he didn't even start him last week.
I know that's true. So I don't know. Yeah, he did overperform last week. I think he needs good performances from the running backs, but at the same time, Ben's team has been extremely deflated.
Yeah,
Um, he doesn't even have a real tight end. He has Dalton Schultz. That's not a real tight end, even though
he
even though
isn't.
he's been producing. Who the hell is that guy? So
Yeah,
uh, he also needs Godwin and Juju to stop pooping on the field, and he doesn't really have any running backs besides Kareem Hunt. So if Hunt has a great game and's got a chance, with Herbert, but
yeah,
other than that, I'll take Parker.
I agree. Yeah, and him having to start the Jets offense against Atlanta, I guess that's decent because Jets defense could be something, but it's just going to be, I think, another shit show from Dan's team and another solid performance from Parker, and everyone's going to start to realize that Parker's team is actually is someone to look out for.
Yeah, no, agreed.
He is benching
Neither.
Jamar Chase this week, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah, that's who it is. So, I mean, I don't know why he would do that, but even Chenault and Deontay, that's not scrub territory, but Jamar Chase has been performing extremely well, so I don't know why he would bench him.
Agree. But yeah, I think Parker all the way on this one. Moving on to my matchup against Ryan, another crazy tough matchup that I have to
Oh,
deal with, and pray that everything goes in my favor. But I mean, there's a lot to think. There's a lot to worry about, and the only two things that I'm really worried about is Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. And I'm
yeah.
hoping and I'm praying Bills Mafia shut them fucking down because I want the Bills to actually prove that they can beat a real team, because a lot of people are probably just talking shit saying they haven't even versed and played a real team, and yet they're just absolutely annihilating those teams. So I'm hoping they go off and they just hold KC and make KC stay in last place, because that would be kind of fun.
Right. I mean, I'll say this: pitching two shutouts tells you something. It tells you
It
that
does.
your team, that your defense is capable of doing everything. And actually, they kind of are this year. They're getting a decent amount of pressure, and tackling and covering well.
Yeah.
The Chiefs just are the Chiefs and get yards after the catch, so they're
Hmm.
ready to make any defense look bad. But obviously the Bills have their first real test of the season so far.
Yeah. Uh,
Excited.
yeah. I mean, the only in this matchup, the only thing I'm really worried about, but it's someone that I just can't sit, is DK Metcalf. I can't sit him.
He's
But
unsittable for sure.
he's unsittable, but it's one of those things where it's like it's Jalen Ramsey, and he literally gets shut down every time he plays him. But the odds, the probability, since he always gets shut down, maybe this is the one on a Thursday night game. Who knows? But I just can't sit him, and he's gonna make or break my team. And I'm just worried because our matchup ends at 8 p.m. and that 8 p.m. game is the Bills KC game. So I'm
Oh,
going to be shitting my fucking
that's
pants
awesome.
if I'm
That's
in the if
awesome.
I'm in the lead. I'm gonna be watching Mahomes and Hill just rip me apart. And at this point,
Yeah,
I need to be in the lead by like 90 points to even have a chance.
and and you've got Bass too, so that is going to be really fun to watch. I
Yes.
I mean, I really hope it's a close matchup anyway,
Mm-hmm.
but that's going to add another layer to Sunday Night Football that I
Yeah,
think everyone will enjoy. That'll be awesome.
I agree. And I mean, some of the players I have great matchups this week. Like Derrick Henry should literally get another 30 touches against the Jaguars. So I'm not really worried there. And I'm hoping Kamara actually gets his first rushing touchdown this week against Washington. But it's going to be a close one. Obviously, I'm picking myself to win, because why would you bet against yourself? But I mean, you really could choose either way here, and it comes down to a lot of things.
Yeah, 100%. And one of the things is positions.
Yeah.
He has the I'm not sure what Tyreek is ranked actually. He has the number two wide receiver on the year,
Mm-hmm.
and he has Adam Thielen, Mike Evans, Brandon Cooks, who say what you want about Evans and Cooks, but they both done well so far this year, especially Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
Actually, I think Evans has had some duds, if I'm not wrong, but
Yeah,
uh,
Evans has been a little weak.
But what I really meant is, well, I mean, the past 3 weeks
Oh,
he's put up
actually, yeah,
15
he's not
points or
been weak.
more.
He's really not been weak.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, at the end of the day, it's Mike Evans, catching balls from Tom Brady. So
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna theoretically have a floor and a high ceiling. Brandon Cooks has just been doing really well. The only game he didn't have a good game in was last week against the Bills, because he's the only weapon, and the Bills were able to shut him down. Um, but then on the other side, with you have Henry, Eckler, Kamara, Robinson, four great running backs. Let's put the running backs up against the wide receivers and see what happens.
Yeah. It's going to be another great matchup, another tough matchup, and it's just I'm glad that I'm getting these tough matchups out of the way now, so that hopefully I can have a nice little run at the end of my game. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but moving on from that, we do have another interesting matchup and another very important matchup for Chris here. So Chris is up against Pete. Both teams have not been performing well this year. They may say otherwise, but they really haven't been doing too much. They their teams are putting up not that many points. They're getting lucky wins if they're getting a win, and we're about to see whose team can actually pull it off this week. I mean, I'm fading at Pete this week. I don't know. I mean, what are you thinking here, Derek? Who you like? Yes.
You know, I like Chris's team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I just tend to think that his two wide receivers are going to help him each and every week. However, Diggs hasn't had a colossal game yet. His tight end matchup is horrible. And
Yeah.
look at the flex spots, and I don't know. I think I'd definitely rather take East side. I mean, AJ Green it could be a zero. I don't know.
He has
Um,
been doing very, very well.
yeah, true. I mean, I might be stuck in preseason mode a little bit with that, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to start AJ Green in
Mm-hmm.
any week. And then you also have Chris Carson, who we were talking about, possibly not playing, possibly being in there in a very limited role. And then Nick Chubb, who I don't think is performing to the level at which he was drafted at.
Nick Chubb, not at all.
Not
Mm.
quite, but he still is like performing as a top 10 running back. So there's
Mm-hmm.
not much you can say about Chubb. And then honestly, he's got Lamar, but Russ is pretty much canceling that out for me. So you know, Pete's running back situation is hairy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he doesn't have like more than two really good wide receivers. So that kind of cancels out. So if Waller has some massive game, I think Pete wins.
Mm-hmm.
If Diggs and Allen go off, both of them, I think Chris is going to win.
Yeah.
I put Chris in there just
Okay.
because I tend to like the catching options that he has, but at
Mm.
the same time, I don't think it's wrong to say Pete has better pass catching options. Um, I don't know. I think I'm just not confident in Pete's team right now because Waller hasn't been scoring 30 points a game, but he might score 30 points this game. And like I said, I think that will get him the win if he does.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be definitely a close matchup, and I have some advice that I just gut feeling here. I think Chris should be benching Chris Carson for Damian Harris. I mean, Damian Harris has not really been that productive these past 2 weeks,
Right.
but they're up against Houston, so maybe he comes back here and performs.
Right.
I
He
also
just
don't
hasn't.
like Chris Carson with a neck injury on a Thursday. He had a short week. He might not even start, so really he just has to be forced to do it. But I wouldn't even be starting Chris Carson against a Rams defense with a neck injury. One hit, which he can easily get hit by, Aaron Donald and be done. And then on the other hand, for Pete's team, I'm not starting Zach Moss. I think Zach Moss and all those points have been it almost feels like it's been padded. Like he obviously was forced the ball. They were up 35-0. Like the Bills have been absolutely annihilating their opponents. So of course Zach Moss is going to get those like handouts, and in those moments where they're just trying to waste the time and move down the field and control the clock. But in the game against KC in primetime Sunday, I don't see Zach Moss being a focal point in this game. So I mean, if I'm him, I might take that risk on Mike Davis starting against the Jets. I mean, Mike Davis is over 10 points all 4 weeks right now, so he's consistently getting you that 10 points. And when you're up against the Jets, you might be able to push through and go in because they were stacking the box on Derrick Henry. Obviously, it's Derrick Henry, but he was able to get through. This time, they're not going to be stacking the box because they have Cardell Patterson to worry about. They got Kyle Pitts. They got Ridley. So they got wide receivers out there they got to worry about. So I don't know. Just a quick take on what these two teams might want to do, but if they don't, best of luck.
Yeah, I think I like your running back plays there. On Moss, we haven't really seen him be a pass catching back, but he's been in there on a decent amount of pass catching downs. So maybe that's something the Bills are saving, but not something I would bet fantasy points on. I think he probably has a better option on the bench.
Yeah, I just don't see Moss doing what he was doing these past weeks. I think it's just going to be a different play style. Like they're just going to be out there doing a different game script.
Yeah, a lot of passing.
Yep, definitely. But this is another one that I'm going to have to analyze and figure out who to choose to win because it's very close.
I thought you were being serious.
What?
I thought you were moving on to the two teams that have.
Oh no.
The two teams that have been 50-pieced, in recent weeks. So it's scary times for them, but it should obviously be a bounce back week for Andy.
I think anything is a bounce back week for Andy after scoring 101 points.
Yeah. But no, yeah, he should definitely be getting a matchup win here. Not a ton to say for his team because everyone's healthy and he has all, he has his death lineup in, honestly, especially Devonta Smith coming into form early in the season. Nick Williams just being a beast. Alvin Cook is the only thing that he has to worry about this week. Let's just put it that way.
Agreed. And maybe Amari Cooper, but he'll probably throw in anyone he wants into that section. Actually, he doesn't really have that much depth at wide receiver. I guess he could he could just put like Chuba, like if Chuba starts again, maybe in the flex.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think he has a really good solid lineup. I don't see Mike Williams scoring 2 points again. Yeah.
Almost cost me another game, Mike Williams. I mean, Mike Williams has just been like a freak and just like really absolutely at the top of his game. I mean, we all knew he could play like this, but he's like putting it all together and even coming through with the touchdowns. So
he wants to get paid.
Yeah. He definitely should. For the Chargers' sake, I hope it's back with them.
Yeah, and I want to just say that Leo is my team to score the least amount of points, and Andy is my team to score the most amount of points. So we may actually see. We could possibly see a 100 piece this
100 piece, yeah.
Because Leo could score under 100 points, and Andy's team could definitely take off and score like 180, 190. So,
yeah, it could be an absolute bloodbath. On the other hand, I might put down some better credits on whatever than probably plus 900 odds are for Leo. Win outright. Because you never know.
You really don't. At 900 odds.
You never know in fantasy.
That's facts. Nothing's predictable. You just kind of hope you're right at some points. in time.
Yeah. Although, you never want to be starting James Conner with Kyler Murray and Michael Pittman with Naheem Hines at the same time. Never really want to be starting any of those three. Obviously, Kyler not included in that. But, at the same time, really
Yeah.
not advisable. But, we know that Leo has had, serious
Rough.
injury in David Montgomery. So he's going to be hurting for a few weeks here at
Yep.
the very least. And just a little bit of league info. Leo has started his rebuild and
Hasn't made any
advertised.
moves, but he's advertising.
He's advertised a fire sale, and basically everything is going. Apparently, besides Ridley and Murray, and I don't know if there was anybody else he doesn't
Yeah,
want to trade.
I
But
doubt Montgomery. But he's ready. He's like, everyone on my team is on sale besides the two guys that have value. So,
yeah,
come send your offers. For no one. Um,
I think it's good for him that he's starting really slowly and not jumping to a Kyler Murray trade right away.
I don't think. I mean, at this point,
I obviously tried to trade for Kyler Murray already, so
no, you got to give up a lot for a quarterback here. Especially one that's keeping his team afloat and not in last place.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so we got through every single matchup pretty fucking quickly and efficiently here because there really wasn't much to say about a lot of these matchups because it's one of those weeks where it's like, it is what it is, and they're almost lopsided besides maybe two of them. And when moving on,
I tell you, I think it's.
Go ahead.
I think it's half and half. I think you have Andy in a lopsided matchup, me in a lopsided matchup, and you know what?
Parker,
I wouldn't.
I would say Parker is in a kind of lopsided matchup. I really like his team, so
For sure. I've always liked Parker's team, and it is performing well. So I do predict, a solid win from him. But yeah, at the same time, I think, I wouldn't call it as lopsided, maybe as obviously Andy versus Leo, but
yes.
even like me and Smith, like if you just look at the projected points, it's decently close between Dan and Parker, but
yeah,
pretty close matchups in Hajj versus Badger, and then of course you versus Ryan and Pete versus Chris.
Yeah, gonna be another great week. Actually, a very, very, very important week because I feel like after week 5, maybe week 6, a lot of teams will almost give up, even though we still have 10 weeks left until playoffs. We literally have 10 weeks left until playoffs, right? Week 15, 16, yeah.
That's crazy.
We have 10 weeks left, and then fantasy playoffs start. And a lot of teams are starting to realize that they're not even going to make it into playoffs, which obviously if I was one of the teams, I would understand that. But to sell right away, it's kind of crazy. Don't give up your season yet. Just let your team rock, and then in the off-season sell, or during the playoffs when you actually solidified your spot.
Well, here's the thing. In Dynasty, I definitely subscribe to the idea that you should try to get, a top pick. And in our league, it's interesting because if you get the number 1 pick, you're going to be humiliated that offseason because you're going to be punished.
Yep.
So it's obviously not easy to land on the number 2 pick, but if I were a Leo or a Dan, especially if I had my own pick,
which
in
Leo
the first
does
round in 2022, I think Dan does. Like
does.
if I were Dan, I would definitely be selling anybody that I don't see as a long-term player on my team.
Yeah. Because this year's like, I think this year's punishment is super, super embarrassing. But to be honest, like I would if I had my own pick, I would I would tank. I would take it. I mean, it's illegal, but I would strategically tank legally
there's
to be last place because I'll take it.
There's a fine line between illegally and legally tanking. It's just called rebuilding, I guess.
Yeah, literally.
We don't call it tanking.
If you're selling your players, you're not tanking.
Right. So Leo could be doing it the right way. I don't see any action from Dan.
Not yet. I think he wants to just make it through.
Yeah, but to your point, I would gladly have dinner. Would gladly have dinner with Donna.
I would too.
The blow up doll that will be taken out by the loser if I had my first round pick and my team was looking dismal for the future.
Agreed. So moving on from the matchups here, Derek, which matchup are you more hyped about here? Like, which one's your excited matchup that you're going to be watching closely this week?
Well, my answer is definitely you and Ryan. It's the most high-powered matchup of the week, without a doubt. And it'll tell us more about the standings.
It would.
I guess I hope that one of you catches a double loss so that a severe handicap is given to one of you guys going forward. I only had one double loss, and that was in the first week. Ever since then,
Me too.
I haven't lost a matchup. So I think we're getting the sense that the better teams in the league are going to be getting at least one win every week. So coming out with 0 wins is what's going to really hurt the top teams, and at least in terms of seeding for the playoffs. So I guess I hope that one of you gets that double loss, and I guess I would say that I hope it's Ryan.
Me too.
Because I hope it's Ryan just because I'm and you are too, one win ahead of him in the standings. So I want to put as much of a gap between Ryan and myself as possible. And as we discussed, that would most likely mean that Mahomes and Hill didn't have some sort of 3-touchdown game. So I'm rooting for you, rooting against Mahomes as I do every week now.
What I'm gonna do this week is I'm going to be rooting for the Bills and not against. Like, I'm not gonna root against Ryan's team. I'm gonna root for the Bills, and I think that'll just maybe bring me good karma because
do it that way.
Yeah.
Obviously, we appreciate it over in Bills Mafia.
I think a crazy, awesome thing to happen would be for Hajj to get upset, or not really upset according to the projections, but for Badger to pull out a win here, because if he does that, and me and you go 2-0, we would have a 3-way tie. Kind of a 3-way tie, obviously points 4, but we would have 3 teams with 8-2 records, and it'd be kind of wild.
Yeah,
you would stay in third place, unfortunately, unless you really outscored myself or Hajj for the points for. But hey, I mean, anything would be nice right now, and being at least a game or 2, depending on how the matchups go, ahead of Andy and Ryan is really good. It's a good start.
It looks like you and I have had quite an easy run through the first 4 weeks, because there's only 450 points against us each. You have 455, I have 449.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's actually lower than that.
No, we definitely have the least amount of points.
Smith has 455 as well.
Chris has 455.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't look too great, but I think at the same time, you and I have had a few underperforming weeks, stuff that isn't sustainable, and also are still putting up enough points to win at those double wins.
Yeah, that the matchup between Ryan and I is definitely going to be insane. And also another two matchups that I'm really looking forward to are Chris and Pete, for the reason that Chris was a team who I think most of us projected to see like a low key and standout. That would be the team that will come out of nowhere and be in the shadows and
Mhm.
be in the playoffs and be a beast just
Yeah.
based on like his team, and it's kind of not doing that. It's really not performing as a team. He'll have like some two or three players go off, and the rest of the team just shits the bed, and it's kind of flowing where he's able to catch a win or two if the team he's up against has a terrible week, but he's not able to break like 140, 150 points, which is something that you need to do in this league, considering that a lot of teams in this league are high scoring, and
Yeah.
and I think it's a key matchup between them two, because if Chris loses again, it's gonna make him think like, who do I need to sell to get someone that actually puts up points, and he may sell Diggs to Derek because I know Derek will pay for.
Mm, yeah, I mean, I'll do it for the content. There's already
Do it
been
for the content,
discussions. There's already been
of
discussions
course.
about Diggs coming over to Pity Party.
Yeah.
However, just
Hmm.
like Pitts at 101, it's not exactly what I need. So I'm trying to stick to the plan that I had at I guess post Akers injury, which is acquire a top 10 running back
Yeah.
and just roll with the death lineup and hope that over the next 2 years it wins me a chip. So
Great.
that's my thoughts on Diggs right now.
Yeah. And
Maybe I'll go after Chubb though.
it could be good. I mean, if he catches the ball, might as well get him, right? But does he catch the ball? I don't think he knows how to. Um,
Hey, still top 10.
yeah.
Still top 10.
And a second matchup that I have that I'm going to be watching out for and I'm going to be hyped to watch is definitely Badger versus Hajj. And the reason why this is another one is, one, because the points are super close in projections. Hajj is the first place team at 7-1 with the second most points for, I believe, in the league. And he's been on a tear. He's been taking down teams that he needs to take down to win. However, Badger's team it needs to gain respect here, because I've had Badger like thinking he'll be middle of the pack, which currently he's kind of like right in the middle of the pack. But if he pulls off this win against Hodge, he could be a top like 4 or 3 team if he's like pulling in and other teams start to get hurt. He has the depth. He has those guys that are putting up points in the times that he needs it. He has guys that are somewhat reliable, but also have extreme high upside and can go off at any moment in time. So he definitely deserves respect. And this is another matchup that's going to be watched closely for Badger, because if he does pull this win off against Hajj, he will be in a good spot for the rest of the season. And I'm hoping he doesn't, because I have his first round pick next year and I would like a good one.
Yeah. Well said. Badgers kind of turning into a Cinderella story because, nobody really thought his team was that great heading into the season, especially just with all the uncertainty around Saquon.
Mm-hmm.
Love to see him do well. Love to see him knock off Hajj.
I mean, yeah, I'll take first place, but I also would like a good pick. So it's one of those things. It's gonna hurt. But these we got a few good matchups this week, and obviously that's gonna be how it is every week. But very important ones as we move closer to the middle of the season. Um,
Mm.
and I mean, when it comes to our league, we do have a points for median. Most of you guys know if you do pay, listen in on us. So we usually pick the top 6 teams that we think are going to get there. And for me, I think it's, I think the 6 teams are going to come from a total of 4 different matchups here. Because I think Ryan and myself are going to be in the median. I think Badger and Hajj will be in the median. I think Derek will be in the median. And that last team, I'm still kind of. Oh, Andy, duh. Um, so it really is just yeah, 4 quick matchups. I think yeah, Andy, myself, Ryan, Badger, Hajj, and you, which might be a consistent thing, but
Yeah, it's like, the usual six.
it really is.
Um, yeah,
I just don't see an upset of like a points for upset coming in this week.
yeah. I
Maybe
think
Parker.
I would take the same list as you. Yeah, maybe Parker sneaks in there.
Like maybe Parker beats out um, Ryan because the Bills just go off on Sunday night.
Be
So
nice.
and that would be pretty wild because he snuck in a 2-0 win last week. So maybe it's time for him to not get a 2-0 win.
Hmm. Hmm.
But least amount of point. I mean, and then we go for like most points. I have Andy winning the most points. I think Andy's team is going to absolutely go off, especially if Alvin Cook plays. He has crazy matchups this week. He put up 101 points last week, so I think his team is going to bounce back. He's going to come back to normal here.
I'm going to take myself. None of my players have, unfavorable matchups. They're all at least middle of the pack or good matchups.
Mm-hmm.
As long as my running backs actually pull through for me one week, and actually, you know what? I'm just talking about Miles Sanders here.
Yeah.
As long as Miles Sanders performs, Chase Edmonds does what he's been doing.
Yep.
I think I can come away with the crown this week. Also, would need the Bills to have a good game.
Bills Mafia all the way this week. I am a Giants fan, but I'm rooting for Bills. I don't even care. Divisional rival game. Giants versus Cowboys. I am watching the Bills. Even though they're not even on the same time, I'm focusing on the Bills because I know
Yeah.
damn well the Giants are losing, and it's sad to say it, but it has to be said. So
If they want anything to happen this season, they got to win this week.
and the Cowboys defense is just too nasty at this moment, and their offense is just so high powered that I don't even know how we're gonna compete.
Mm.
So Bills Mafia all the way. Least amount of points, I think Leo, after taking a hit hard with Montgomery having to start James Conner and Nyheim Hines. I mean, we did have a weird week last week from Nyheim Hines with only 0.1 points. I don't think that happens again, but I also don't see his team fully performing to what it should this week. He's got weirdly tough matchups in all categories besides maybe Calvin Ridley against the Jets, but
Right.
and Corey Davis against Atlanta. Like Ridley and Davis might put up 40 points combined, but everyone else might be just hurting.
Yeah. Hopefully Stephon Gilmore can get three interceptions, and maybe that'll help not come in last this week. But it's not looking good health wise, overall roster wise, and matchup wise. So I took Leo as well, and hopefully Smith and Leo are battling for a decent amount of points, because that would make for really great banter in the chat.
I would love it because see, like this is where it is. If Chris and Dan pull off upsets, which I don't know if they're kind of possible. Chris and Dan can both win this week. It's definitely possible. And if that happens at this point, like I really do see Smith going in last place.
Hmm.
And that would be a screenshot and a picture to take and save forever. Because it would be beautiful.
Thanks.
So going deeper into our players real quick, the players that we're trying to like predict that will do well or kind of show up and overscore on their projections. I know Derek is constantly going to pick this guy until he continues to give him W's.
All right. I'm 1 for 2 on Kyle Pitts predictions, and I'm 1 for 1 on Terry McLaurin predictions.
All right.
So I am taking Kyle Pitts again this week. I am suggesting that you start Kyle Pitts in your lineup. I am not worried about him. His skills have not changed. The amount of routes he's running is ridiculous. And he had 9 targets last week.
Yeah.
So I know that, his totals have not really been eye-opening, to say the least. Um, However, in a tight end premium league, I don't think I can ever sit him. I don't think I ever would want to sit him.
Hmm.
And just in terms of outscoring his projection this week, he's playing the Jets. Um, he is he is away against the Jets, so still the Jets. Um, and yeah, I mean, he's getting targeted a ton. I think it's going to turn into something this week against a lowly defense.
I mean, I agree.
Man,
I think he can beat 15 points or match 15 points, especially if he finds the end zone. Um, that would be pretty awesome. Has he scored a touchdown this year?
no sir.
So he's due for his first rookie touchdown, and I think he's gonna get that this year. So maybe I'll bet it. Maybe we will have to bet it. And for me, I have two players that I'm looking out for. One good one is I believe that Allen Robinson, I'm going to say it again. I think I said it last week and he failed me. I'm going to say it again. He's going to beat the projections at 12 points. Justin Fields was a solidified starter. Mooney's kind of hurt. Montgomery's hurt. They're going to need to throw the ball against the Raiders. I think they're going to throw the ball against the Raiders. Allen Robinson should have at least 5 catches. So I'm hoping he can perform here. It's really hurting me. It's hurting me a lot
He's
because my team slightly relies on him to help perform if other players don't go off, and I just really need him to go off. And if he doesn't, I'm still holding on to him. He's not someone that I'm selling in a dynasty league because eventually he will be in the right spot, and he deserves to be. So I think he's going to outperform, but someone who I think is going to underperform is going to be DK Metcalf. I don't think he's going to hit 17 points. He's playing against Jalen Ramsey. It does not have a great track record in that in that matchup. He gets targeted, but it's not a great track record. So
he's someone that's easy for Ramsey to cover.
yeah, because Ramsey's a big and Metcalf's big, and they just match up, and they just Metcalf goes straight, Ramsey can go straight. So the only way Metcalf is going to get points is if they motion him over and Lockett is up against Ramsey at the time. So I mean, maybe I get lucky and Metcalf sneaks in a couple touchdowns when he's not up against Ramsey, but I don't see him breaking that 17 point. So, but you have to start him. Do not sit Metcalf unless you're in like a 4 or 6 team league and you have, I don't know, some insane player like Adam Thielen on your bench, then maybe start him over. But you got to start DK Metcalf, so I'm going to be starting him. I mean, I think a lot of my players can outperform this week. So I also do think that Miles Sanders underperforms 11 points this week, but
I mean, has he done anything but that? He really hasn't. I mean, he gave me hope week 1, and then ever since then, it's just been. Everything besides his efficiency has been terrible, and even in the last game, his efficiency was terrible.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely super worried about his future this year, and it's just sad. It's just so sad that I don't have Cam Akers. It really is.
Yeah, your team would be actually filthy with Cam Akers back there, and we'll see if he comes back stronger next year. But
he's coming back for the playoffs.
Maybe
PnC playoffs.
Maybe he's like the gymnast. Comes back with him.
Keep holding on hope.
Do you have any hot takes this week? Do you have any quick things? I mean, we're coming towards the end of the episode. We did touch on everything. I mean,
I don't think it's crazy to say that any of these matchups could end in an upset besides Leo or Smith. I'm not picking them even in a hot take segment. Sorry, boys. You guys got some figuring it out to do. So I'm just gonna turn this into the shitting on Leo and Smith segment.
All right, shitting
And,
on Leo Smith. I'm so ready to shit on Smith because I hate his team. The amount of injuries.
what do you hate about his team? Let me ask, because
I
I
know.
look at his lineup and I think it has a lot of promise, but
See,
I
that's
think
that's what I hate about it.
there are guys. I'll tell you what I don't like about Smith's team, and that is it needs to be managed extremely well. So he has what I think is good depth and starting caliber players in every slot, but no top end talent besides Hawkinson. I mean, I don't even know if we're calling Aaron Rodgers a top end talent yet this year, just because people are still worried about how he's going to perform season long, just with his attitude issues. But he has Aaron Rodgers, DeAndre Swift, T.J. Hawkinson, and when your two best players are on the same team, I guess I don't like that as well. I'm just noticing. And then he's also, if he's starting Higgins, then he has to start a wide receiver and running back from the Bengals each week. Yeah. So again, not preferable, but all around, like, he doesn't have any bad players in his lineup.
No, and which is like my whole thing about his team, and when looking at his team, he loves the young boys. He loves the young ones. In not trying to be weird, maybe being weird.
He named his team Young Boys, so
does,
I think he deserves it.
Yeah, he does love the young boys. And the thing that I don't like about his strategy here in a dynasty, I think he's taking dynasty a little too serious. In the fact that it's like, oh, I need the young boys now so that when they develop, I will have the better players and like the future of the league. And it's like, I understand that, like, yeah, you have DeAndre Swift, who I think will be very well, but then you have guys who are either hurt or they're like a boomer or bust. Most of his guys are boomer bust, so he's taking that risk week in and week out of, okay, cool, I put up 150 points. Next week I put up 110. Like, he literally put up 94 points last week. And then this week he may put up like 130. It's like, oh, there's my bust. There's my boom. Cool. And I just don't like it. Plus, like you said, like, he has to manage his team well. And in fantasy, you're trying, like, you want to have fun. And when you have to like worry about who to start week in and week out and do your data, and like, cool, that's entertaining. But then when you realize that your process failed you, like, yeah, you might have the right process, because he likes to say if you have the right process, it could hurt you, but you still have the right process. Yes, but when your process fails you multiple times and you're just like, damn, like, I should have started those guys. And it hurts, because it's like, oh, like, I should have really started those guys. And then you start to overthink it each week. You're like, do I start this guy? Do I start this guy? For someone like you, for someone like me, we just start it and we go, okay, forget about it. Oh, bye week injury? Okay, here's our plug-in guy, because we know he's our plug-in guy.
Yeah.
And it's like nice to have those solidified players. And he really doesn't have those. And it's one of those teams where it's like, you're either going to really bust or you could boom. And the boom is really not even that excitable compared to the bust. So,
I don't he has, I think he has like decent to good draft capital. And again, it's just coming down to having to be correct in your lineups. Having to be correct in your draft picks, and it's like one of the most fun parts about Dynasty is drafting that first round guy. But if you're wrong and you're like, all of your resources are caught up in young, unproven talent and draft picks, which are basically the same thing. It's simple. It's a simple decision for me which route I want to go, and that's definitely the death lineup route.
Me too.
and we will see how it plays out. If he were to hit on 100% of his prospects, then maybe he would have like this crazy team that nobody can beat. But I don't know. I don't see it. But he's had a lot of injuries.
Injuries are definitely fucking him big time.
I think he might need to be a little bit more willing to trade, and I'm not even pulling his leg. Like, I think if he trades Mixon, that's a great trade for him. Smith isn't going to get bad value, so as long as he trades him, it's going to be a good trade for him because he'll get good value, and Mixon is an aging running back, so like that's kind of where his process falls off for me. Is like, why would I want to have Joe Mixon on this team? Joe Mixon's injury prone and also on his second contract. So
exactly, to have two veterans on your team, you choose Aaron Rodgers and Joe Mixon while everyone else is like under 24.
Yeah, and specifically how much he likes T. Higgins and wants to start him. I don't know why you would also want Joe Mixon in your starting lineup.
Who takes touches away? I'm pretty sure right? Joe Mixon could catch the ball.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I was really high on Mixon this year, but
traded him away.
I know Smith would not budge, and I ended up with fucking Miles Sanders
and Cam Akers.
Yeah. So
it hurt.
What are you gonna do? Process doesn't always work.
No.
Smith's process is not working a quarter of the way through the season. I'm excited to see where he lands.
Yeah, and based on his injuries and how his team's going, I don't think it's pretty high. And I think he understands that he's not making the playoffs. And he's gonna have a lot of good picks next year. So if he doesn't really make a difference in his team, it might be time to change the process up.
Good luck, buddy.
Yeah, definitely good luck. Is there any other hot takes that you wanted to bring up or anything else before we kind of close this off?
Just this. Come on. YouTube's fucking me right now. It's awkward.
All right, moment of silence here.
Yeah, I just think it's like an audio thing. It's just not going to play. I'm trying to play the shout song and get hyped for Bills Mafia.
Shout song.
But, yeah. Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Go Bills.
The shout song
on Sunday night.
Yeah, I could play for the. Here, I'll play for the stream. You won't hear it. You can hear it. I'm sorry.
Maybe they were hearing it. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo.
Oh yeah.
Ryan.
Did I even choose it? They can't even hear you. I'm bumping the music.
Come on and shout. Yeah. Buffalo's happening now. We're on the move now. The Bills are happening now. They're making it happen now.
Ryan and Patrick.
A lot of spirit, yeah. We got the spirit. Just watch it happen now.
Hey.
Let's go Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo.
The Bills make me wanna.
I chose the one. There it is. It ended, and that was from 2013. I played that one. I saw it's definitely an outdated one.
Was that like game audio?
No, it was just a song. I literally just looked up like "Shout Buffalo Bills" song, and it was 1.5 million 8 years ago, and I was like,
I think that's what I was looking at. Yeah, go Bills.
Go Bills Mafia. Stop Patrick Mahomes. Let us win.
Stop Ryan.
It's that's how we're gonna close it here. Bills Mafia, baby. Check out
We're on
Better
a team
Fantasy.
this week, Ben.
Hmm?
We're on a team this week.
We are on a team. Yeah, we're teaming. Collusion. Someone's going to clip it and ship it, and we're done for. Okay? Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out, listening, whatever you're doing. Good luck in your Week 5 matchups. Make sure, you have any questions, hit us up on Twitter, PnC_Dynasty, and we'll help you with your starting lineups. And also, remember, if you have a guy playing tomorrow, do not start him in your flex.
Oh,
put him in the position where they belong. Or take him out if he's Chris Carson. Do not start Chris Carson. And if I'm wrong about it, I'm sorry. But that's your decision. And see ya.